Welcome to the Indie Music Room, a conversation with independent artists about writing, recording, performing, and promoting their original music. And now here's your host, Heather Kelly.
Hey everybody, you're listening to Heather Kelly with the Indie Music Room, and I am super excited to introduce our guest of the month for November, and his name is Gabe Kubanda. How are you today, Gabe?
Hey, I am doing great. Thanks for having me, Heather.
Absolutely, my privilege. Why don't you let everybody that's tuning in give us your background? Where are you from, and how did you get going in music?
Yeah, I have been playing music in tons of bands and stuff since I was probably 17 or 18, up in the Seattle area, farmlands of Seattle, outside of Seattle, and went to music business, kind of a 2-year certificate college at UCLA in Los Angeles. Was in a few more bands there, and then launched a solo project about 9 years ago that I've been continuing on with my own name, Gabe Kubanda, and writing my own songs and writing for other people and collabing and touring and doing all sorts of crazy stuff. So really,
I've checked out your history and your schedule, and my goodness, you have done so much. So I'm excited to talk about some of it. Let's go way back. When did you get started in music?
I think I got the music bug at an early age. My parents both played some instruments around the house, non-professionally, just kind of jamming. My dad played drums and my mom played guitar a little bit, and I picked up a little bit of those skills from both of them. And I really developed my ear just by listening to the oldies station. My parents were really religious, so they wouldn't let me listen to like metal or hip hop. All the dirty connotations on both of those genres.
Right.
So I was stuck listening to oldies, and when I say stuck, I don't mean stuck. Like, I think it was really, really good because I got an appreciation for Motown and classic rock and all those types of artists. And that started my music progression that way. So I think that was really, really cool. I then tried to play drums in jazz band in high school, which did not go so well.
I bet your parents loved that. Every parent loves a drummer in the house. So.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Like way too much noise. And then I started doing choir in high school and also at church. And that really freed me up, I think, in terms of just enjoying voice and learning guitar. And then I kind of set myself in motion from there.
So you basically now you play guitar mainly, right? And sing?
Yeah, mostly acoustic guitar and sing. Every once in a while I'll bust out the electric or some bass or drums, but I'm not that great on drums.
Well, you won't believe this, but I was actually a bass drummer in the drumline and band. So I was in drumline, yes.
There we go.
I won't even touch a drum now because it's not my thing. So now, did you have lessons on guitar, or was it more of a self-taught thing, or how'd you do that?
My mom taught me a few worship songs, church songs, and maybe I'm sure a couple Beatles songs, I think, back in the day. And from the rest, I literally just listened to the oldie station and kind of developed my ear. So even though I'm not the greatest at reading or charting notation or anything, I can still... my ears developed well enough to where I can kind of pick things up and get the basics down real quick.
Very cool. So do you want to do some name dropping? Who are some of the bands you started out with?
Most of them were unknown and just never went anywhere. One band called Letters Burning got to do a bunch of Warped Tour stuff, Battle of the Bands, some Hot Topic tours back in the malls when that was a cool thing to do.
Yeah.
And were courted by some indie record labels. But other than that, I'm mostly known for my solo project and the VH1 reality show that I was on, where I got to jam out with a bunch of rock stars, which was really
Well, tell me about that real quick. Which show was it on VH1?
So that was Rock and Roll Fantasy Camp, and it was a short-lived 2 seasons, but it was so much fun. They basically, the audition was play some classic rock songs, and the first day of shooting, you were playing in front of the members of Kiss.
Oh no! Oh my gosh!
And there's 20 of us all trying to play rock and roll all night long. screwing it up because none of us really bothered to learn. I mean, it's pretty easy, but it's like it was so much. It was so nerve wracking, and like Paul Stanley's watching you, and judging you, and then guys from Guns N' Roses were there, and
Oh my God.
all these like major, rock and roll legends, and then later on they're picking you for their fantasy band. So some guys went with Duff McKagan and Matt Sorum from Guns N' Roses. Some guys went with some other rock guys. I went with Mark. He's a producer that worked with John Lennon and Ringo Starr.
Oh my gosh, what an honor.
Yeah. And so he was amazing. He's this crazy guy with this rainbow-colored beard, really eccentric, wild, straight from the 70s, like Austin Powers looking, with a beard. And our first set, we were playing like at the Key Club, learning with cover songs and playing with Paul Stanley at the Gibson Showroom, playing at the Troubadour, playing at all these places. Our rap party was at the Playboy Mansion.
Oh my gosh.
It was just nuts. So it was this roller coaster of just, rock stars and stuff. We got to play with Sammy Hagar and, just all these great guys.
What a crazy experience for you. That's awesome.
And
I wonder if they still have, like, I can go back and find it on, previous seasons or something.
I wish there's a few snippets on YouTube that you can find, but other than that, they're not doing any reruns anymore, maybe internationally, but it was so much fun. And ironically, that's kind of what set myself in motion to do my solo project, because I had just left my rock band. I really wanted to do music, but I was too scared to do it on my own. And then I did this blind audition, got the part, did it, and I was like, wow, that was crazy, but I could hold my own with all these other dudes.
Yeah, good for you. That's great.
And I was like, okay, let's give this a shot.
Exactly. Tell me a little bit about your songwriting process before we listen to our first song. Why don't you tell me a little bit how you're set up and what you do?
Whew. So that's crazy because, as you know, like inspiration comes from all this different sources and times in your life. I find it best when I am ironically driving across country to shows.
Right.
I'll have song ideas on the open road and I'll hum them into my iPhone, and then I'll try to dissect them or find the best ideas later on. But a lot of times it'll start with either a melody or lyrical ideas. I also emote quite a bit, or what's a better word? I kind of gain inspiration from other people's issues as well. So I'll see kind of observing something going on, and I'll kind of ingest that and kind of write about that in my own way.
As a songwriter myself, I find that when things are kind of not real good in life, or one of my friends are having problems, I can write all day about it. But when life is great and I'm so happy, I'm like, what do I write about? It's too good. But it's hard to do. Tell me a little bit about the first song we're going to play today. I believe this is your most recent release. It's called Back on Track.
Yeah. Speaking of when everything's happy, I wrote this when everything was not happy with the world. Last April and May, during the pandemic, real hardcore lockdowns and everything, where everyone was just strapped to their home and wasn't going anywhere. And then the riots started happening and everything, and I should say the protests, then the riots, and it was one of those things where I was just so uninspired. Nothing I was playing, was coming out right. I was just like, throw your guitar out the window, kind of thing. And I was looking for inspiration on soundbetter.com, which is a website for musicians. And I just heard this track, this like demo track that this musician out of Louisiana had put up. And it just had such a catchy little intro, and I immediately started getting lyric and melodic ideas for it. And it's kind of funny because as soon as I heard it, I started, that was the spark I needed. And I wrote almost an entire song around that little demo, and I sent it to the musician. I'm like, dude, I love your song. I wrote all the lyrics already. can I buy it from you?
Yeah, exactly. What was his response?
He was like, hell yeah, brother.
Yeah, great.
And so we started talking. He sent me the stems, which are kind of the broken out tracks.
Okay,
That he
individual
was doing.
tracks.
Mhm.
Okay.
And I started fleshing out my own demo with and added a bridge and added a bunch of instrumentation and harmonies and everything in my home studio, and then sent it over to my producer who was in Tempe, and he loved it. He started programming the drums and some synth parts, and we were just. It was one of those things, where you can't get into the studio to write a song, but you can fly tracks back and forth
Yeah.
and get inspiration that way. And I know a lot of musicians were doing that, all last year. And where there's a will, you find a way.
Well, the music wasn't going to stop regardless of the pandemic, so we all found a way. All right, here you go. We're going to listen to Back on Track, written by Gabe Kubanda.
I'm getting back on track. No holding myself back. Tied my loose ends up tight. Full speed ahead, that's right. 'Cause every day is a new day, coming on like a freight train at a doomsday. You say I choose to be happy, snappy. Got that from my pappy. Mama, she schooled me when I was unruly. A song is forming in my heart like every day. What can I say? Oh no, what can I say? We're picking up the slack. No rear view glancing back. Got futures on our minds. My family holding tight. 'Cause all my life I had to struggle and strive. Never easy peasy, lemon squeezy. And in the end all we got is our family and friends to keep it light and breezy. And truly happy, snappy. Got that from my pappy. Mama, she schooled me when I was unruly. A song is forming in my heart like every day. What can I say? Oh no, what can I say? Never settle for the scraps left behind. Never tell your big dreams to a small mind. Nothing gained without some compromise. But never compromise if it don't feel right. You know I'm happy, snappy. Got that from my I'm happy, snappy. Got that from my pappy. Happy, got that from my, you know I'm happy, snappy. Whoa, you know I'm happy, snappy. Got that from my I'm happy, snappy. Whoa, you know I'm happy, snappy. Got that from my I'm happy, snappy. Oh no, what can I say?
That was Back on Track. Gabe, wonderful song. I loved it. I do want to tell you, I've been listening to your music on Spotify, and I heard a song last night. Not that we're going to play this today, but I heard a song that really stuck with me last night. It was called Sugar. I liked that song. I did. So that was a really fun one I found too.
Okay, I'll tell you the little backstory on that. Actually,
Okay.
The inspiration for that was I was at the dorms at UCLA, kind of college dorms, and off-campus dorms, and they were co-ed, and a really cute girl moved in right next door,
Uh-huh.
and I was really shy back then and very introverted, and I didn't know how to talk to girls very much, and so I thought, how funny would it be if I showed up like on her doorstep with like a Pyrex like cookingware, like full of sugar, and be like, "Hey neighbor, you want some sugar?
Exactly.
Like you want some flour? You want some like cooking things, you know?"
Exactly.
And that just kind of started off, and I wrote a whole song about it.
Yeah, it's a great song. At the end of this, and we'll make sure to share all of your links because people need to check out your music. I listened to the entire Spotify list yesterday, so
Oh gosh,
good
God
stuff.
bless you.
Yeah. Now there's going to be another song. It's called "Dancing on the Edge." But before we get to that song that we'll play next, why don't you tell me about your studio experience? I did hear you say that you recorded during the pandemic in your home studio. Do you have experience in other studios as well?
Yeah, normally, kind of the process is when I start looking to do a new album or a new single, I'll take all these demos and song ideas that I have and kind of flesh them out to the best of my abilities. I'm not an engineer or producer at all, so I don't have those. Those are extremely amazing skill sets that I'm in awe of because I don't have that.
I don't have the patience either. I'm just like, I'll do the work. You do it. You do the rest. So,
and it's like, let people do what they're good at, and you focus on what you're good at. You can't learn everything. I call myself like a jack of all trades, but it's just like I can do a lot of things moderately, minusculely well, but I'm gonna leave it to the professionals, the good stuff. So I would normally have my songs pretty much ready to go and send them to a producer or work with a producer and have them help me out. Case in point, the next song I think you're going to play, "Let's Ride." I really loved the song, but I didn't have a solid chorus line. I had the "Let's Ride" part. I had some other things, but I had more words. It was too dense with stuff.
Yeah.
And the producer was Curtis Douglas out of Tempe. He's an amazing producer, and he's done The Maine and a bunch of bigger bands. And he was like, "The song's really catchy. We just need to pare it down and come up with some really concise hits." And so he really helped me peel back the song and kind of expose the real good parts of it. And so that's where a producer can be so handy in really helping you look at the song objectively, because as a songwriter, and this, you can't see objectively about your own project because it's so personal and dear and you're so close to it. And if you had your druthers, like, it would just sound awful because it would just be so much stuff stacked in there.
Yeah.
And that's an art in itself, it really peeling back the layers and getting to the important parts of the song and what you really are trying to say and convey. And a good producer is worth their weight in gold.
Absolutely. I used to tend to write with too many words. I could take out "but" or "and," and just kind of condense it because you don't need all that stuff in there all the time. It still tells the story.
Exactly.
So back to "Dancing on the Edge." We're going to go ahead and play that now, and then we'll play "Let's Ride" later. But I'll tell you what, let's take a listen to "Dancing on the Edge."
Times like these, shifting seas, throw in my equilibrium, balance lost, count the cost. Side to side, floor to ceiling, can't deny, ship is reeling, undeniable demise. But I'm ready, rock steady in this hurricane. It's scary, don't worry, take a leap of faith. Dancing on the edge, dancing on the edge. Fighting through the darkest night, don't look down, just hold tight. Dancing on the edge, dancing on the edge. Fighting through the darkest night, stay with me, you'll be alright. Take a breath, take a knee, never gave up easily. Pick myself up off the floor. Learn to pivot, learn to swim, bite the dust, kick down again. Not afraid to ask for more. And I'm ready, rock steady in this hurricane. It's scary, don't worry, take take a leap of faith. Dancing on the edge, dancing on the edge. Fighting through the darkest night. Don't look down, just hold tight. Dancing on the edge, dancing on the edge. Fighting through the darkest night. Stay with me, you'll be alright. Hold on, hold on. Gonna get through till the break of dawn. Hold on, gonna get through till the break of dawn. Joy comes in the morning. Dancing on the edge, dancing on the edge. Fighting through the darkest night. Don't look down, just hold tight. Dancing on the edge, dancing on the edge. Fighting through the darkest night. Stay with me, you'll be alright. Dancing on the edge, dancing on the edge. Fighting through the darkest night. Don't look down, just hold tight. Dancing on the edge, dancing on the edge. Fighting through the darkest night. Stay with me, you'll be alright.
That was Dancing on the Edge, Gabe. Another brilliant song. You have a sound. I showed your music to my daughter, who's a college student, and she's like, "This is the real deal. This guy's the real deal." So you've got a very infectious sound about your voice, good tonality and warmth.
Thank you so much. It's funny since I play so many colleges and high schools and kind of younger venues. Even though I'm older, it's interesting to see the younger generation kind of like latching on to and like getting the lyrics and getting the meaning. Which is I didn't think that that would happen, but it's really cool that I'm able to connect that way.
Just curious, when you were younger, who were some of your musical influences? Who did you really like?
Man, when I was younger, it was all about, Led Zeppelin, Pink Floyd, Jimi Hendrix, those kind of iconic artists, Lynyrd Skynyrd, Queen, Elton John, the list can go on. But then also the grunge scene was super huge. I was really into Pearl Jam and Alice in Chains and Soundgarden. And also 90s hip hop, like West Coast hip hop, especially Tupac and Dr. Dre and Snoop and all those. And so I feel like I was taking in all this wide variety of music from all these different eras. And I find myself unwittingly and unknowingly like putting in little cliche things. Sometimes it could even be like a hip hop rhyming type of a thing, but sing song, my style. But I can trace it back to those roots, or a little grungy part, or a little classic rock influence, or a pop reference. It's really weird. I don't know.
It's interesting. Well, and the worst question for me to ask my artists that I interview is, so what genre do you consider yourself? That is the worst question to ask. I can't even categorize, your music. There's so many different sounds that it reminds me of. So I'm not going to ask you that question.
I just say indie pop.
Indie pop.
And let people sort it out for themselves. It's like, if you like it, you like it. Cool.
Earlier, you said, you mentioned you're kind of a jack of all trades. I found something really interesting when I was researching. You are the co-founder of Edumusication. Tell us about that. What exactly is that all about?
Yeah, so Edumusication is our 501c3 nonprofit. It's kind of a music education platform, and it kind of started out organically when we were on our Epic Proportions tours. We had started playing in free high school shows to fill in the dates between our festivals and bar shows and college shows and stuff like that, and military-based shows. And so we do a free high school lunch concert or something. And we noticed that a lot of these, especially the lower income schools, they had no music classes, no band classes, no choir.
I know. Such a shame.
It was just so sad. But these students obviously loved music, and they gravitated toward us, and they were just, they would forget their lunch, and they would just come rock out with us at lunch and go crazy and stay past the bell, and try to skip class. And they'd be like, Oh, teacher, I'm helping the band unload, or something. We're like,
Exactly.
nah, get to class.
Yeah, that's great.
But we just had such a connection with these kids, and I felt so I don't know, like they just needed that outlet
Mm-hmm.
so much. And obviously, a lot of the schools did have music classes, but they were so disconnected from what modern music was going on and what I was listening to and the concerts I was going to. It was kind of stuck like back in the dark ages.
Right.
There was no bridge between like Mozart and Dizzy Gillespie to modern pop and rock and hip hop and metal and country and stuff.
Right.
So it's like, well, so we just started talking with the music kids, started talking with some of the music teachers. They started inviting us into their classes afterwards. We'd
Nice.
hang out. We'd start doing little demos, bring out our acoustic guitar, do little like uh, just kind of inspirational talks like, hey, if we can do it, you can do it,
Right.
kind of a thing. And then we were like, oh, let's call this something. What do we want to call it? And
Right.
I don't know why edumacation came to mind. I think I was thinking of edumacation, like get
Right.
educated. And then I was like, edumacation.
It
And I
works
know
out
some
great.
people, I know it's hard to say sometimes, but I really like that name. And I think it gets to the heart of like what we're really trying to do. And ever since the pandemic, when all our tours got canceled, it was really amazing to be able to switch over and do virtual Zoom sessions for
Mm-hmm.
all these students that were stuck distance learning at home.
Yeah.
And so that opened up this new avenue of, you know, doing collaboration like online song creation with kids, talking with teachers about how to use, recording equipment,
Mm-hmm.
and even interfacing with some of our music retailers like Novation and Focusrite to get like microphones and audio interfaces and stuff to the kids that
Wow.
were stuck at home. So that's something I'm really proud to do, that we were able to accomplish with our partners.
I
Because
find it very admirable that you're doing that. My opinion, I've always felt like music seems to get cut first before athletics, and the fact that you're putting energy and at the end of this show, I'd like you to include that link because I know it's a nonprofit. And if any of us can help in any way, that's a brilliant idea. So we'll do that too at the end. Again, we were talking about Let's Ride. Let's get to that song now. Let's Ride. This is the third song we're going to play today. I want to hear the background on Let's Ride.
So Let's Ride was one of those songs where that intro guitar riff and the vocals was kind of set in stone from the beginning. And I had a different melody. Actually, I was messing around. I think I was joking in the tour bus one day on tour, and I'd come up with this little riff, and I started riffing some like jokes about our merch girl. And
Uh-huh.
she was sitting there, and so I was just making fun of her. We were just laughing, and she's like, "Oh, that's kind of catchy."
Right.
And I was like, "Yeah, it kind of is." And so it never went anywhere for a couple years, and but I kept coming back to it and going, "Oh man, that's so catchy," but it just it didn't go anywhere.
Uh-huh.
Um, but after a while, I started fleshing out the song, and song ideas started coming to me about riding through life with your partner, riding through all the obstacles, ups and downs, kind of life, and getting through it, and enjoying the good times, and learning how to enjoy the bad times with your special loved one, kind of a thing. And that's kind of a theme in a lot of my songs. I feel is like uh, surmounting adversity, striving, thriving. Getting through the tough times to appreciate the good times. So uh, that's how that song kind of started coming about. And then I was able to take it to my producer Curtis,
Yeah.
who I was talking about earlier, and he really just helped solidify it. We got a great drum programmer and synth programmer to do a lot of the little background kind of ear candy that makes it just
Mhm.
sound so cool and vibey. And funny thing is, when that song hit, that's exactly when the pandemic kind of was,
Uh-huh.
at its peak. And all our marketing efforts kind of went out the window. But Peloton, the exercise bike company, ended up picking up that song and the remix to that song and having that in their instructor videos.
That's a bonus. That's cool.
So that was really cool. It's like, hey, how can you ride? We're all stuck at home. You can't, but you can ride indoors on your exercise bike.
Exactly. With that said, let's go ahead and take a listen to Let's Ride by Gabe.
You're just like the sunrise. I've been craving daylight. You're everything that I want and need. Stuck inside a midnight, ultraviolet twilight. You're everything that I need. So let's ride. Let's ride. Collide. And leave all our worries behind us. They won't find us or deny us. I just think it's so lovely that you love me. Don't be afraid to let the wind take us away. We'll forever be the forever free. So take my hand and let the wind take us. Let's ride. Let's ride. All I wanna do is see who the real you is. You and I could light up the night. Together we could be like cosmic rays of sunshine. You're everything that I want and need. Flashing fever pitch, falling into the way we are. Shooting stars. Let's ride. Let's ride. Collide. And leave all our worries behind us. They won't find us or deny us. I just think it's so lovely that you love me. Don't be afraid to let the wind take us away. We'll forever be the forever free. So take my hand and let the wind take us. Let's ride. Let's ride. Ooh, 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 ooh. Let's ride. Ooh, 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 ooh. Let's ride. I just think it's so lovely that you love me. Don't be afraid to let the wind take us away. We'll forever be the forever free. So take my hand and let the wind take us. Let's ride. Collide. Let's ride. And leave all our worries behind us. They won't find us or deny us. Ooh, 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 ooh,
That was Let's Ride by Gabe Kubanda. It's interesting, Gabe. You spread yourself thin, it seems like. You're an entrepreneur. You've got your edumusicication. You've got your music career. But I also saw somewhere online that you have Airbnb rentals. Where did that come from?
So many things started happening, because of the pandemic, I feel. And that was one of them. I was living in Phoenix with my business partner's house, and he had to move out. And so we had some extra rooms available. And so when the tours got canceled, we were like, man, how are we going to pay this mortgage? And I was like, well, since I'm not, I won't be able to travel for maybe a year. But at first we thought it was just a few months,
Right.
And I was like, well, why don't I rent out our spare rooms and try to just survive that way? And he's like, all right, let's just do it. And so that turned into 6 months, into a year and a half, and I just was really enjoying the flexibility that it gave me to, make money, pay the mortgage, and also have more time to work on my songwriting. Because when I was touring so much, I was so busy driving the bus, making the arrangements,
Yeah.
booking the Airbnbs that we were staying at,
Right. Yeah.
that I was just constantly drained and wiped out, and just that my creativity was just destroyed. So it was just one of those things where the pandemic was a very needed reset for me creatively and emotionally and spiritually. And then this kind of came along, and it was just like, hey, we need to make money. We have these assets. What can we do with them?
Right.
So when I moved to San Diego, I was like, I'm going to do that more. So
Right.
now I actually have, I just picked up a fourth listing, and one's right by the beach, which is really cool. And
I'll stay in that one when I come out to visit.
yeah, come on out, you get the OD discount.
Thank you.
And I've just been really enjoying putting my effort into that. And if you go to my Airbnb listings or on VRBO as well, you'll see my rooms are kind of musically themed. So
I saw that.
drums and guitars and microphones everywhere. And I just wanted to create a space that resonated with me and what I liked.
Sure. Yeah.
And, and funny enough, a lot of musicians come through and book my rooms because they see the instruments.
Yeah, they feel at home there. It welcomes them. So that's really great. Yeah, I'll make sure to post the Airbnb link too as well. You've got so many things going on. I want to share that with everybody. Anything coming up soon? Like any more tours scheduled right now that we're somewhat getting back to normal?
Yeah, I think for us, I think we're going to wait till next year to tour. Next spring, in fact, we'll be getting back on the road. And then in the meantime, I'm speaking at some engagements, doing edumusicication classes every week for various schools and stuff that are still on a hybrid system or have like digital online learning campuses now.
Okay.
For the kids and the parents that are like not wanting to send their kids back. And writing more songs. I'm going back into the studio, into a real studio finally, which is nice.
Nice, yeah.
And going to be fleshing out some new songs and maybe a new album next year. So be on the lookout. I've been making music for a long, long time, and I don't quit easily, and I just keep going. So
yeah, that's amazing. One more time, why don't you let the people know some of your most popular links where they can find you? I mentioned Spotify. Do you have an official website?
Yeah, luckily my name is very unique. So
that it is. It took me a couple days to learn how to say it.
Right. So everything is at Gabe Kubanda, and of course GabeKubanda.com, edumusication.org as well. And then
the Airbnb link again?
That'll be, I haven't actually put that public yet.
Oh, am I spilling the beans?
Yeah.
Sorry about that. I can edit this part out if you'd like me to.
No, let's keep it rolling. This is
okay.
Good. This will be for the diehard fans. This is, it'll be KubandaProperties.com.
Okay.
And that will be launching next month. So that'll be
got a lot going on.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I want to thank you for taking the time with me today for the Indie Music Room. In the future, if you have any more material coming out, please send it my way, and we'll make sure to get it played. Any final thoughts, Gabe?
No, I just want to say thank you to you for just being an awesome podcast host and interviewer. And thanks to your fans and our fans for tuning in and spending this time with us. And just a note for people just to stay positive, with everything going on, whatever it's good or bad, you got to stay positive. Keep that mindset up. That'll get you through the rough points. So, and as always, I'm on Spotify and Apple Music under Gabe Kubanda. Hit me up on Instagram. Ask me whatever you want. And if you guys want to come on vacation by the beach, you'll find me at Kubanda Properties soon.
Well, I probably will meet you someday. I have family out in California, and I've never been to San Diego yet. I've only been up north. So
Oh, we're doing this.
we'll check it out. All right. It's been my privilege, Gabe. Thank you so much. And you have a great day.
You've been listening to the Indie Music Room with Heather Kelly. Be sure to listen every Saturday and Sunday right here on FortDodgeRadio.com and subscribe for all our past and upcoming shows. The Indie Music Room is a production of FortDodgeRadio.com.